Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Nena. I help people declutter their minds and their homes using practical applications of psychology. And today we're talking all about why cleaning can be so hard for those of us with ADHD and 8 strategies that can make it a lot easier. Now, cleaning is something that can even be challenging for neurotypical people, let alone people with ADHD. And as much as we love and appreciate our ADHD brains because they do have some amazing superpowers, they also unfortunately tend to come with the downside of making us a lot more prone to being forgetful, disorganized, and messy. And even though most of us would absolutely love to live in a clean space, we can also feel completely paralyzed by just the thought of the process because our brains despise anything that we perceive to be boring, monotonous, repetitive, or non-creative. And I think we can all agree that cleaning seems to embody a lot of these characteristics. So I want to quickly talk about some of the specific challenges that we can face and then offer 8 tips and strategies that I have found to be the best ADHD-friendly solutions for overcoming these challenges that have helped me and many of my clients finally be able to live in a clean and organized home. Now, as I'm sure you already know, one of our biggest issues here is that we do struggle with executive dysfunction, which can interfere with cleaning in a multitude of ways, such as planning and prioritizing, task initiation and follow-through, and organization and time management. We also tend to waste a lot of time because we have the tendency of hyper-focusing on specific and often non-essential details that can get us stuck in one area and lead us to neglect or even forget about much more important tasks. And because we are so easily distracted, almost anything can pull away our attention and we can completely get derailed on our progress. And on top of all this, many of us also struggle with frustration and overwhelm because our difficulty with cleaning and maintaining order can lead to a lot more negative emotions than neurotypical people experience when performing these tasks, which can further demotivate us and make the task itself seem even more challenging and miserable. So these are some of the things that we are up against, and this is not even an exhaustive list. So if you are struggling here, I hope this offers some validation as to why. And the good news is that I have found that there really are several solutions to successfully work around these obstacles. So let's go ahead and talk about them. Now, the first thing that we need to do is to start by identifying priorities. So we want to walk through our entire home and take an inventory of everything that needs to get done. And we want to make sure that we notice anything that is unsafe or unsanitary because those things are going to need to come first. So for example, if we see a bunch of dirty dishes or we see a bunch of piles of clutter on the floor that are interfering with the flow of the home, these are the types of tasks that are going to be those top priorities. So we want to list out everything with the most important things first down to the least important. And we want to make sure that everything that we are writing down has to do with function, the actual function of our home. And this is so important because it is so easy for us to get sidetracked by small details and aesthetics. And remember, we can get to all of these things eventually, but we want to get into the habit of doing the essential things first. Now, the second thing we can do is to use this list to make a specific plan ahead of time and commit to sticking to it. Remember here that any big tasks are going to need to be broken down into smaller manageable steps or we're going to get completely overwhelmed and paralyzed. But we do need a concrete plan, and we never ever want to start cleaning without knowing exactly what we want or need to accomplish that day, because otherwise we're going to waste the entire time trying to figure that out. Now, my third tip is to keep the to-do list for any given day short and sweet. We're fighting with our attention here, so we want to be realistic about what we can accomplish in one sitting. And it's better to exceed our expectations than to be disappointed that we couldn't get to everything that we wanted to. We also have to remember that if we start to get overwhelmed, that we can take breaks. But we also do have to be aware that a lot of times when we take breaks, if we actually sit down, we're going to find it very difficult, if not impossible, to get back on task again, which brings me to my next point. Get yourself moving before you start. You are not going to be able to get yourself to clean if you think that you're going to be able to just pull yourself out of bed and immediately get to work. Or if you're on the couch in your PJs scrolling on social media and you expect yourself to just kind of spring into action, it is not going to happen. We have to borrow momentum from something else. And my trick has been recently to do a little bit of yoga or to go for a short run or a walk outside, because I know I'm going to come back with a lot of energy and I can usually just clean and blast through a lot of things very, very quickly. It's actually one of the most helpful habits that I have ever adopted. Now, my next tip is to always start with something easy. For me, that means always starting by removing any obvious trash in a room as the first thing that I always do. It's something that's mindless. It's something that doesn't require me to make any kind of difficult decisions. And it gets me motivated because there's this huge visual impact. I can see my progress and I want to keep going. Because it is the worst feeling when we spend hours and hours and hours on something and then at the end, no one knows what we even did. Our effort isn't even that obvious. We did make progress, but it's not that visible, and that's something that can demotivate us. So we do want to give ourselves those easy wins, those few things that have that visual impact that can give us a sense of accomplishment that will allow us to push through those harder tasks. Now, the next tip is to adopt the motto, done is better than perfect. We need to start to strive for things to be good enough instead of always wasting endless hours in one singular area trying to get it to look exactly the way we envision. So we have to give ourselves realistic and fair amounts of time to complete each task that we determine ahead of time and then move on when that time is up. Now, if we need an extra 5 or 10 minutes, that's fine. But if we start to want another 30 or 40 minutes, we need to put an end to it, because if we keep going in this direction, time blindness and perfectionism are going to keep us from ever completing that task. So use a timer and be really, really firm with yourself. Now, something else that we need to do is to remove visual distractions. So put your phone down while you are cleaning and do not turn on the television. Now, realistically, we do have to make it fun or our ADHD brain is not going to want any part of it, but we are much better off listening to a podcast or our favorite music or just the audio of a YouTube clip, because it's way too easy for us to get sucked into watching something or want to respond to notifications, which can completely pull us off task. And the last tip is to start to develop a routine. As much as we're inclined to resist them, having routines can work almost like an external brain for us, because they can take over some of the executive functions that we really do struggle with. And by having a set schedule for specific tasks, we don't have to waste our precious mental energy trying to figure out what to do and when. And routines in general really are excellent coping mechanisms for managing our ADHD symptoms overall. So these are the things that I have found to be the most effective, but I would love to hear in the comments if there are other strategies that you have found to be effective that you would like to share. So please let me know down below. As always, I truly hope you found today's video to be helpful and validating. If you did, please like it, share it, and definitely become a subscriber if you aren't one already. ADHD support is something that I talk about all the time, not only because I have ADHD, but also because I am fascinated by the topic. It was the focus of my master's thesis, and it's something that I feel we should be talking about a lot more. I want to thank you so much for watching today, and I hope the rest of your day is extraordinary.